Sealed products are nearly everyone's go-to purchase right now in the hobby, and that's why in this video, I'll be looking at the best Pokemon booster boxes in the current market. Though before I get into that, I am gifting another subscriber this Bulbasaur Mega Evolution stamped promo. Now, if I do reply to your comment with this Celebi emoji, then well done, this card is on its way to you. Though the thing with buying booster boxes is that there's a bit of an art to it. You can absolutely buy into a set that already has massive, huge demand. Like for example, let's say Destined Rivals. And while it may continue to perform really well in the long term, the reality is that you do need a bigger upfront cost to get some skin in the game. Or you can look at another booster box that isn't in that insane premium bull category, and it probably doesn't have as much hype today, but over time, they can still produce insane results. All right, let's get into it. Surging Sparks is the first one I want to talk about. And honestly, right now, Surging Sparks is selling for $253 US. And honestly, when we look, and I'll show you throughout the video, you're gonna see new sets like Chaos Rising are pretty much already at that price point. And to me, it's pretty wild to see that, because I remember when Surging Sparks came out, there was actually a big thing. People were like, wow, this is the next Evolving Skies. People were so hyped for Surging Sparks. One of the really interesting things that happened with Surging Sparks was the fact that it was pretty much, it came out right when Pokemon TCG Pocket released. And then right then you had a huge influx of fans. It was pretty much the first Pokemon set to get sold out. But of course, the next set that was releasing after Surging Sparks was Prismatic Evolutions. And then after that, you had Journey Together, Destined Rivals. 2025 was a massive year for Pokemon cards. And I always felt like Surging Sparks didn't really have its time to really get that massive respect that it deserved because of the release period. But right now, I'm on the last 3 months, and we can see it's selling right now for $252. Right there, in the last 3 months ago, it was selling for $254. There's been absolutely no movement for Surging Sparks. And honestly, yeah, I do think right now in the current market, it's a great booster box. There is so many awesome chase cards. You have a Pikachu SIR in this. You have an amazing Latias SIR. And you also have my favorite Pokemon, which is Milotic, as a special illustration rare. Honestly, it's crazy to see that it hasn't really gotten that much love for such a long time. And I really do think, I don't want to use the word underrated, but yeah, it's a little bit overlooked. I think that's actually the better word for it. I think Surging Sparks right now is being overlooked, but by pretty much the whole Mega Evolution era. Also, if you found the video super valuable so far, I just want to say hi and welcome to the channel. My name's Phil and I create content around Pokemon investing and collecting. Honestly, it's wild because I can see I am getting close to 100,000 subscribers, and it's just been such a cool journey. Honestly, I'd love to have you subscribe, as it's great seeing new people on the channel. Now, moving on to the next one, it is Chaos Rising. And honestly, I think right now it's a good buy. Currently selling for $235. When I'm looking at Chaos Rising and I can see the incredible cards within this set, I think right now it's honestly, like, how much is it gonna drop lower than that? Right now, if I pull that, it pretty much how we can see, it has dropped a little bit. It was at a high point of 270, and yeah, like you can see right there, 235. So it has dropped a little bit, but whether or not it's pretty much at this point, you're trying to just, if you're trying to time the bottom with these, it's too hard for that. I wouldn't even bother. Right now, it's a new set. It does look like it has a lot of positive reception, and of course, it does have a Greninja special illustration rare. This is pretty much what I'd put on the same level as Twilight Masquerade. And yeah, I think given the insane demand for Pokemon cards right now, if you can get your hands on Chaos Rising, I think it's a good long-term hold. Honestly, I do think it's a really cool set. Moving on to the next one I want to talk about is Stellar Crown, which I think is one of the biggest sleeper hits I have seen, probably in the last like 3 or 4 years. I don't think I've seen a set be such a sleeper hit like Stellar Crown. When I look at Fusion Strike, that was also a bit of a sleeper hit as well, because when Evolving Skies was, like I said, selling for that 500 USD, you had Fusion Strike selling for 120, 130 a box. I know in Australia, I could buy Fusion Strike booster boxes in early 2024 for 179 AUD. So for the Aussies watching, you know, that is crazy low prices. Though Stellar Crown has had a bit of love in the last 3 months, was selling for 280. Right now, it is selling for $332. And I think in terms of long-term growth, Stellar Crown is a really unique set as well, because it released at that tail end before Pokemon TCG Pocket happened. We had only a few sets before that whole Pokemon boom pretty much erupted. Everything just went crazy from there. And this released right before Surging Sparks, and honestly, you do have the Bulbasaur and the Squirtle illustration rares in this set that are really pulling it forward. And yeah, like if I pull that into the year graph, you can really see the growth it's already had is pretty massive. Selling for $216 last year, already gone up $100 in a year. One thing you really need to take into consideration is the history of collectibles. And what I mean by that is I always find collectibles like a bit of a library. No one knows every single Pokemon set ever released, every single card. What people do is they start researching, and like collectibles are like a library. You just start searching for what you want. And when they start researching this set, I'm telling you, man, there's a lot of cool things about this set. Definitely, I'm not saying it's an undervalued booster box, but I do think considering, like we can see right now, selling for that 331 range, yeah, man, I think considering it's getting pretty old, nearly 2 years old, it's a pretty cool set. Now, the hobby is changing tremendously, and it is really cool seeing the amount of people entering the hobby. One part I've loved is how cool the community aspect of Pokemon is. What's so cool is that I will be going live on Whatnot and giving away packs of Perfect Order and Mega Evolution base set on 31st of May, 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Now, today's video is sponsored by Whatnot, and if you haven't tried Whatnot before, well, it's a super engaging live shopping platform. On my streams, I really find it's an awesome way to see the heart of the Pokemon community, because doing the giveaways is always fun, especially in the last stream because we actually pulled 2 of the Lucario Chase cards, which was absolutely insane. Though I've actually seen some of the viewers be very generous in my streams. One recent stream, the viewers actually started buying giveaways for one another. It was actually super wholesome to see. I think it's a really cool way to see how positive the Pokemon community can be. Honestly, I'd love to have you come check it out. And what's so awesome, if it is your first time, you can actually get a $15 credit to spend on Whatnot. Just head to the link in the description or scan the QR code appearing on screen right now. A massive thanks to Whatnot for continuously supporting the channel. And now let's get back into these booster boxes. Now, the next one I want to talk about is Perfect Order. Now, the big thing I want to speak about, I'm not trying to give you the booster boxes in this video that are insanely expensive, that are already something like a Destined Rivals. Sure, you're going to need to fork out a lot of money. When I'm looking at Perfect Order, this is right now selling for $221. When I look, this is the only Pokemon product since Prismatic Evolutions that I've been able to buy easily for retail price. Now, obviously, it isn't the best set. Yes, I'm not going to now be sugarcoating it and saying, hey, no. Look, there's a pretty cool Meowth SIR and there's a cool Clefairy illustration rare. I don't like the Zygarde SIR. I really don't like it, actually. I don't like the Mega Clefable special illustration. That to me, not a fan. Personal opinion, okay? I'm telling you what I think of the set. This can change. It's very likely in a few years, a lot of people will start liking some of the illustration rares. Maybe there'll be some sort of appreciation for some certain SIRs. I could see the Meowth becoming a very loved card in the future. What I'm trying to say is though, at 221 with the amount of demand Pokemon cards have had, I think Perfect Order, yeah, man, if you can get anything at retail price right now, it's good. And like, this is the set that everyone can right now purchase for pretty much market value. If you do walk into a store and you want some Pokemon cards, everyone knows right now you're going to be able to get Perfect Order, and Chaos Rising hasn't been as hard to get as a lot of sets. Man, I'm telling you, like, Ascended Heroes, forget about it. Who can even get their hands on that? But with Chaos Rising, it's been easier. Perfect Order is still easy a few months later, which is great to see. That is so healthy for the hobby. It's been such a long time. And yeah, I do think it's not my favorite set for sure, but given the price point, yeah, it's looking pretty cool. Moving on to the Mega Evolution Enhanced Booster Box. Now, this is selling for right now $310, okay? You do get the Bulbasaur stamped promo in this guaranteed, which is awesome. You already pretty much have to minus what that card sells for on the raw market straight away. So when you're even looking at that, it is looking like a fantastic purchase. I think it's great. I think enhanced booster boxes are some of my favorites, man, because like I said, you do get that promo. People want these. Promo cards are so in demand. And when it is like that, it is sealed. As long as you protect it, 310 US, I really think, when I look at the Mega Evolution era, the Mega Evolution base set booster box has some golden cards in there, man. Not just the gold cards. It actually has some really cool cards in there, like the Mega Lucario SIR, which has really been going up in price lately. You got the Mega Gardevoir SIR. You have amazing illustration rares as well. I actually think the Mega Evolution base set is one of the best base sets we've ever had. Now, moving on to one that is not a booster box, but I think it has to be spoken about. It is White Flare Elite Trainer boxes, right now selling for 110 US. Yes, it is not dirt cheap. Yes, you are spending still a lot, but honestly, I think given the fact when we look at other ETBs, whether it's Prismatic Evolutions, whether it's Ascended Heroes, they are becoming incredibly difficult to purchase at the moment. I think White Flare has been a little bit under the radar. I really love Black Bolt White Flare. I think they've been, I don't want to hype any sets. The thing is, when I have a channel like this, I don't want to just now hype any sets. I hate the fact that that can kind of happen in this hobby, that you speak about a set, people start liking it. But yeah, I mean, when I'm looking at it based on the current market, the fact that you get so many cool illustration rares in this set, it's a great set. And I think right now in the current market, it's cool. And it's actually a cool set to buy if you did want to open a set. If you do want to open some White Flare, look, it's not too bad. Now, moving on to a early Scarlet and Violet era set, but it is Temporal Forces, right now selling for $326. So it has actually gone up a little bit. In terms of Temporal Forces, always said it, it is the most Generation 9 themed set we've ever had. Sometimes when you look at Generations, some of their sets, they don't even make sense for their era. Like Black Bolt White Flare, it's a Generation 9 set, pretty much has nothing to do with Generation 9. Same with Pokemon 151. Yes, they're specialty sets, I get it. The Mega Evolution era has actually been interesting because all the sets have been very much connected with Pokemon Legends EA. They haven't veered off too much. Honestly, at $326, if I pull this into the year graph, you can see that right there, it was selling for $210 last year, pretty much growing. There you go. You can see $100 in a year. And like, is there more room for Temporal Forces? Of course, like when we look at Sword and Shield era sets, they've also gone up. One Sword and Shield era set that I do want to talk about is Chilling Reign. Here I'm on Chilling Reign, and honestly, if you did want to buy a Sword and Shield booster box, right now selling for $488. Chilling Reign has never been able to take off in any way, shape, or form like Fusion Strike, like Evolving Skies. It has always been having, or even Lost Origin, it's had a much harder time picking up some steam in the market. If we even look in the year graph, you can see that it actually has, it's one of those rare sealed sets that has had a bit of volatility. Was selling for 407, did have a market high of 575 US, then it dropped down to 420, went back up to 546, and right now it is selling for 488. It seems it will have a bit of a tumultuous journey, but if you do want a bit of an older set, which is, it's 5 years old at this point, that is a pretty cool set in my opinion, given the fact that, yeah, right now selling for $488. Like again, that is if you wanted to buy a more expensive booster box, but of course the booster box market is interesting and sealed product has that kind of way of working. It does have a base point in the market, which is really unique. I mean, I have just some crazy cool memories of Chilling Reign, especially as I was playing Sword and Shield a lot during that time period. It's honestly one of my favorite all-time sets because of that connection point like that I could make with Pokemon video games. Though connecting the dots from Pokemon video games to Pokemon cards is honestly one of my favorite aspects. And it's so cool how you can play a game and then you can find the artwork linked with the TCG. Pokemon and Nintendo gaming have been one of the biggest parts of my life. And interestingly, I do have another channel called Phillips Trick Room where I do deep dives into Pokemon's history and lore. In a recent video, I ranked all the Pokemon remakes and placed them on a tier list. Feel free to check out the experience of Phillips Trick Room and you can get immersed in all the storytelling content. Moving on to the next one, it is Journey Together Enhanced Booster Boxes. And right now, okay, if we're looking at here, earlier this year selling for $233, right now selling for $277. Honestly, and I'm on the year graph here and you can see pretty much the lowest point this had last year was 201. Right now selling for $277. No massive spikes for Journey Together. And of course, it's an enhanced booster box. You do get the Ends Reshiram stamped promo, but realistically, I think the fact it hasn't moved much in the market. Now, Journey Together isn't the most loved set, but we do know, and especially if you've been in the hobby, what happens is there's usually kind of a, like there's a turning point when these things happen with sealed. Everything's just, the market's cool, the market's going, and then once it starts climbing, it's like, wow, how do you get it to stop? I really think Journey Together is a bit of an underappreciated set. Real talk, in the current market, I don't think, like, it's pretty much a little bit more expensive than Chaos Rising. Plus, you do get a guaranteed promo as well on that. Honestly, I think there's a very clear pattern emerging around Pokemon booster boxes and the growth that they can have. Though I think seeing the prices has brought up a question relating to how to manage spending in the current hobby. And there is a lot of wastes of money that you can be making, especially right now in Pokemon collecting. And I actually think that there's 5 huge wastes of money, and all of those can be seen on this video on screen here. Within this video, I talk about the 5 biggest wastes of money when it comes to purchasing Pokemon collectibles. Honestly, it's a great video. I'm sure you'll get a lot of value out of it. I'll see you on that next video. Appreciate you watching and don't forget to subscribe.